These Pistons have about 90 races on them. That's pretty crazy in the sprint car world. Today I'm going to clean one up and show you how we made them last that long. Welcome back to another episode of the Cunningham Custom Engines YouTube channel. I'm your host, Travis Cunningham. This is episode lucky 13. This week we're talking pistons. Last week we did rods. You saw me take this baby off the rod last week, so that's one step we're going to skip this week. But other than that, I'm going to clean it up, take the rings off, and then inspect it. Like I said, 90 races on this thing in the opening, and pretty nice skirts, that's for sure. Anyway, gonna clean it up, and as we go, gonna explain how I got it to last 90 races. Like I said, that's pretty crazy in the sprint car world. And at the end, we're gonna decide if we're gonna use them again. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. First step is remove the piston rings. And I got the two top rings here. I just wanted to show you, these are a gapless top ring on these. And a normal piston ring set would have just one piston groove in the top ring, or piston ring in the top groove, obviously. This one's got two. You can see that little lip there on the edge, and this part's machined down, and it accepts this expander. And when installed on the piston, that's how it lines up, and the expander takes away the gap on the top ring, and that keeps the blow by in the crankcase, even if you're having a little bit of problem. Like the leak down on that engine, it leaked down 0%. And even one when I had trouble and there was a little markings in the bore because I had an oil that didn't have rust inhibitor. Always ask if you have rust inhibitor, especially if you race on dirt or you're planning on leaving the engine together over the winter. Better make sure there's rust inhibitor in your oil, because it made a mess of my piston bores one year, and total seal rings kept me running pretty close to the front, even though I had some catastrophic stuff going on. But that's a Total Seal gapless top ring. Once Total Seal invented that, pretty much every serious engine builder started putting them in. They started on the second ring. And just take the rest of the rings off. Most engine builders out there, do you guys use the expander pliers? I have a hard time using those, but it says to use them on the instructions. I'm just wondering how many guys do. I usually just ring them on. Get all the piston rings off. Then we can head over to the Varsol bin. And there she is. One naked piston. If you're rebuilding it, I always leave the locks in the one side. And that's it. Alright, back at the trusty Varsol bin, and you got to get all the carbon off the top. Not the most exciting job in the world, but it's got to be done. Fresh piece of Scotch-Brite, like I said last week, always got to have a fresh piece. And just give her some Varsol and start rubbing. Mainly trying to get it all off the very top. And basically trying to get most of it, but and after about 3 or 4 minutes of boring rubbing that I cut out, the last thing I do is take a nice big piece and go around the outside, do the skirts, and then we will hit it with a little more Varsol before we hit it with the water. Super clean, and hose her off. Yep, that thing's still loud. And there we go. Nice clean piston. Ready to be measured up, and you only gotta do that 7 more times because one's done. So we'll talk about the piston a little bit now that we got it cleaned up. This one's got a 1.5, 3 mil ring pack. That's a pretty outdated ring pack, not gonna lie. Most of them are down into the 1 mil, 2 mil. And some can even go down to like half a mil on the top and second. Crazy thin rings. They definitely make you puke when you're working on them. But in my opinion, a little thicker rings does help the longevity a little bit. They'll tell you it doesn't, but in my opinion, it does help a little bit. All my other engines do have the smaller rings in them. And the main thing that helped make this last 90 races is the big, thick, I forget the style they call it, but the big casting, the full barrel, I think they call it. Most engines now will have a more lightweight casting, way less weight on it. So it's a lot harder to get it go 90 races because there's a lot of thinner areas and stuff like that. And the heat will affect it way more because especially in here, a lot of times those pistons can get pretty thin. And the trick is to try to move the top ring down as much as you can to try to make that big thickness there on the top. But the main reason these ones we were able to get 90 races out of them is because they were the full barrel piston. Next thing I do is remeasure the rings in the bore they came out of. So we took number 1 piston apart. So we got top ring in the number 1 hole. Used a piston squaring. We made this out of an old piston. That's how you square them up in the bore. And me, when I use gapless, Total Seal gapless, I go 24 on the top and 22 on the second ring gap. 24 on the top, 22 on the second. So this is the top ring. And when you do this to see how wore out the rings are, and this engine only had it was spread over 2 seasons, but only had about 14, 15 nights on it this rebuild time, and these rings are still sexy. That's why you buy Total Seal. A lot of the times, like a lot of NASCAR teams can run them for 2 full 500-mile races. They'll check them and they'll still be good. They'll replace them, but the gaps are still there. And man, it sucks about the crack. There it is. I've told you about that in other episodes. That tiny little crack right there. That's what made me not race this thing that much this year. Because I knew the cylinder was filling with a little bit of water. But I also knew it wasn't worn out because it was still running good. And there you go. First ring I checked. Still good. 24 when it went out the shop, still 24 now. I'm going to check the second ring. You just take it with some acetone on a shop rag, shock towel. Give her a nice wipe until you don't see much more dirt on the towel. If you were building this, assembling it for real to go together, you would make sure it was nothing coming off. But we're just doing a double check. After the build, or after the teardown, it says top right there, but you definitely want to have your rings going the right way when you put them together. Toss her back in the bore, and we're going to check. This one was set at 22 when it went out the door. Check for our 22 feeler gauge. And the second ring, a little looser. See what it measures. Bet you 24 is not going to go. $24 goes. And 25 is tight. So the second ring wore out a little bit. Top ring stayed the same. They're a little bit different material. But honestly, still well within the range of operating. So I said it before, I've said it again. It sucks I had to take this engine apart for a little crack. But if I was one of those teams locally that has a killer engine and only one of them, I'd be finding a style engine like this to have as a backup, because this one was leaking water into the cylinder. She was still running good, still producing high 13-second laps in time trials, and ran good when it's slick. So if I was one of those teams around here, I'd have one of these. Here's the rings all laid out. This is top groove, second groove, and the third groove, otherwise known as the oil control groove. And just the one thing I wanted to show you about gapless top or second ring sets is they come with a second expander, like I said, 8 of them. And there's 16 of these, and they're very, very similar. It's easy to mix them up when you're doing your final assembly. And when I'm putting the rings on the pistons, I'll keep these ones with the tag that comes with it on way over on one side of the bench, and I'll keep these ones way over on the other side of the bench to not mix them up. Because if you mix them up, it's going to be a bad time. There comes with tons of warning in the boxes when you open up the box. And just wanted to point that out. If you're using a gapless top ring set, which I recommend in a sprint car, make damn sure you don't confuse or mix up the expanders. Alright, we got it all cleaned up, showed you the rings, showed you everything. Does look pretty nice now that she's clean. My dad would have made me clean a little more. Would have made me get that. You know, I still might get it. But then, you want to check the ring length, so you got to get no-go pin. This one's 1.5, 1.53 mils, so that's 59 thou, and whatever it just said on the calculator. I forget what the other one is. We're only going to do the top two, because that's the one I got the size for. I usually borrow one from work if I ain't got the size, but you put your no-go in there, and you just check all the way around the ring lands and make sure there's no tight spots. Sometimes they can collapse a little bit. The tolerances on the ring lands are insane. Like we're talking half a thou, 0.0005, or maybe even less than that sometimes on the super high-end shit. And you just run that baby all the way around. Make sure there's no tight spots. I'll borrow the right size from work. I don't have it for the 3 mil. And do that same thing on the oil rail. But make sure your ring lands are still good. Because that's one thing we're using a piston. That can snag you. And one of the last steps is just polishing up the piston pin. This one's not that bad, but you can see where it rides in the piston. So, toss her in the old lathe. On the first one, I let it hang out a bit farther. And then I got a piece of old crankshaft polishing belt, and I hit it with that first. Dyno, my noisy name. And then just touch it with the Scotch Brite. So yeah, polishing belt or any fine grit sandpaper to start. What? I heard one of the world's best engine builders say, I can't remember which one, but if your engine part you're putting in your engine can't take a little drop off the floor, do you really want it in your engine? Ha! That spoke to me. Because I dropped the piston on the floor once and still put it in. Whoops. And nothing happened. It was fine. And voila. One polished pin. Ready for more abuse. And then the last thing I do on every piston and rod, you take the pin that was in there. Sometimes there's a little burr. Here you gotta take off from when you're putting in the locks. So remove the burr. Put in the pin. And I always use my hand micrometer for this specific one because it's a smaller hole. But you can set up the Sun gauge for this size, and you can set up a bore gauge if you have one for this size. And check the actual clearance. But like I say, I use the hand micrometer. I know a lot of engine builders know what I'm talking about. You guys can feel thou, half thou, 5 thou on crank end play every time. I always try to guess for fun when the crank, before you check the crank end play, guess 4 thou, 5 thou, and then measure it, see if you're right. I'm usually right. I know most people know what I'm talking about that build engines, so I do the same thing on the pistons. Just put it in. I think the tolerance on these is like 7/10 around there. So you definitely don't want to feel any slop. You want it to go, not be tight, but then try your hardest to make it move at all in there. and if it moves, you're probably close to a thou and a half. You can feel a tiny little bit there, but you don't want it to move at all, and it doesn't. And then you do the same thing on the rod. Got to slide in nice, not tight. And then when you do this, you don't want to feel nothing. Try to go side to side. Like I said, you can measure it too. I always measure one, but if you've done enough, you can tell with the hand micrometer. Final verdict on the 90 race-ish Pistons. Yeah, they checked out good, and I'd put them back in. But like I say, these ones have the more full forgings, not the super lightweight stuff. And like I say, every team, in my opinion, should have an old, I don't want to say an old beater, but like a more beefed up engine that if your hitter fails you, you can throw in a Mr. Non-Reliable and it'll keep you rolling for that month or whatever it takes to get your other engine back. Because these, like I said before, these pistons are just more full down here. A lot of them are more lightweight. Some of them have super tiny pins to keep the weight down. If you got that kind of stuff in your engine, you got to be changing that all the time. But if you've got big, strong ones like this, I just keep using it. If the block wasn't cracked, this would be going back together. I'm actually upset I had to take this engine apart because it was clearly still good enough to go. It only had 16 races on it. Probably half of them I pulled off or something like that. Wasn't going good. Because if I'm not going forward, usually, you can tell. Because like the pay from 10th to last around here ain't that much different. So if I ain't going forward, I say that's enough. I can tell the car's junk and whatever adjustments I made weren't good enough. So I usually pull it off. So that's how you can get away with running your engines real long too. That's how Shark Racing survived on the World of Outlaw road when everyone said they would never make it a year, and they made it. Look at them now. That's how they did it. If you weren't going good, you got to pull off and save your stuff. And so there you go. Would use these pistons again. Like I say, if you're a big team out there and having one engine trying to run for Rush Weekend points or anything around here, you might look into getting one of these just to make sure, just to have it around the corner. Because like I say, I wish I could be able to. I'm just going to try to find a 60 over block and put this thing back together because it's a perfect third stringer. Billy does have another block to fix, but I don't want to bore it out to 60 over right away because that's a no-no on a stock block. Probably have to start at 30 over. And then these pistons wouldn't work and there would have to get 30 overs. But if I find a 60 over block, I'm jamming this thing back together quick as I can. One of our followers said to make the videos a little longer, just say who I am and where I'm from again. And like I say, I'm Travis Cunningham, Grimsby, Ontario. And this year we're racing at Ashweekon Speedway for sure for points. And going to try to run the whole SOS tour. And all the Brightons that have a wing on it, and maybe even one of the ones that don't have a wing on it. I've been wanting to try the non-wing for a couple years now. Haven't been able to do it. Last year we had switch issue where the engine wouldn't run. There's another reason why this engine didn't get run hard a couple nights because of that switch issue. But yeah, I wish I could try the wingless. Probably going to hopefully get it done this year. And just got to thank everyone again. We're pushing 550 subscribers now, almost 50 more from last week. Lots of engagement on the videos. Gaining a little following. Pumped for everybody, especially all you that are watching and digging it. I love that I'm meeting strangers and they're all commenting on my videos and stuff like that. Makes me feel good. So thanks for watching. Like I say every week, if I did everything wrong, let me know. Someone actually did. They thought I ruined the rod. But I just want to show you that was incorrect. Like the other guy said, those things are super hard. You can't even feel the witness mark from measuring that rod. But the one thing he did say is always keep the dial on the sun and bore gauge to the 3 o'clock, and he's right on that. So I'm always going to keep that at 3 o'clock. Thanks for the comment last week. So like I say, if I did anything wrong, let me know. If I do stuff right, let me know. If you like the videos, let me know. And you can really let me know by commenting, liking, and subscribing down below. And we'll see you next week.